Three champions have been crowned here at the Bob Devaney Sports Center in the high school boys state basketball tournament. Three more will take home the title here over the next, about 6-7 hours. Alongside John Bishop, I'm Kevin Suits. The evening session starts with the Class C1 title contest. A great one. Hastings St. Cecilia, the defending champs, taking on Chadron, the Cardinals undefeated on the year.
And it's always intriguing when you have teams that don't get the chance to see each other in the regular season match up, and that's what we have here. Central versus Western Nebraska. St. Cecilia, arguably not only one of the best teams in Class C1, but one of the best teams in the state. They beat Class B's #1 team, Ralston. They've only lost one time this year against the Chadron team that is undefeated, as you mentioned, and has arguably one of the best in-state prospects in the country in Elliot Eliason. Obviously, in this state, when you grow him 6'11", that doesn't happen very often. Should be really interesting to see how he matches up with a Blue Hawk squad of St. Cecilia. Very physical. This team is not afraid to get down and dirty with you, and when I say dirty, I mean just physical. They're not a dirty team, but they are a physical team, and this should be a very good matchup here in Class C1. It's been a great class. We'll find out together how this final goes. In the meantime, let's go courtside for our national anthem before the Class C1 championship between Hastings St. Cecilia and Chadron.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glad, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And we're just about ready for tip-off here. We'll get the introduction of the players in just a moment, but Hastings St. Cecilia comes in at 21-1. Chadron undefeated, 26-0, the only undefeated team in Class B. And there's always the argument that as a Panhandle team, you get to see the same teams many different times. They saw Scottsbluff, they saw Sydney, they see McCook, they see all the Western teams multiple times. They don't get a chance to sharpen their skills against the more populated end of the state. But that can also be an advantage because teams are not as familiar. So we will find out. First, let's go across the way. It's time for the starting lineups and the player introductions. Here's Rich Broderson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Nebraska School Activities Association, welcome to the Bob Devaney Sports Center for the 2009 Nebraska High School Boys State Basketball Tournament. Now for today's Class C1 championship game between the 26-0 Chadron Cardinals and the 23-1 Hastings St. Cecilia Blue Hawks. Here are the lineups. First, the non-starters for Chadron. Number 4, Jeremy Gardner. Number 10, Wyatt Bloom. Number 15, Austin Danielson. Number 24, John Lordino. Number 30, Bill Margrave. Number 32, Garrett Johnson. And number 33, Brady Rose. And now, here are the non-starters for Hastings St. Cecilia. Number 11, Paul Gellert. Number 15, Joe Ryan. number 23, Bo Schwenka. Number 31, Nick Heinrichs. Number 45, Jordan Consbrunk. Number 51, Zach Stirrup. And number 55, Matt Stirrup. And now, here's the starting lineup for the Chadron Cardinals. A 5'10" senior number 3, Travis Reeves. A 6'1" senior number 12, John McClain. A 6'1" junior number 23, Alec Holmquist. A 6'5" junior number 31, Zach Bargan. And a 6'11" junior number 55, Elliot Eliason. The assistant coaches for the Cardinals are Eric Hawkins and C.J. Buck, and the head coach for Chadron High School, Craig Nobling. And now here's the starting lineup for the Hastings St. Cecilia Bluehawks. A 6'2" junior number 1, Dalton Seeley. A 6'4" senior number 3, Craig Farmer. A 6'3" senior number 25, Jake Hamburger. A 6'3" senior number 33, Blake Wright. And a 6'2" senior number 41, Zane Anstein. The assistant coaches for the Bluehawks are Mike Alsman, Brandon Fossick, and Spencer Ostrander. And the head coach for Hastings St. Cecilia High School, Kevin Asher. Ladies and gentlemen, the officials for today's Class C1 championship game are Kyle DeBuse, Brian Rupp, and Jeremy Wynn. The bench official is Mr. Kurt Heinrichs. Ladies and gentlemen, let's play basketball.
As we mentioned, Chadron 26-0. Undefeated, the only team in Class B to attain that status. They beat their teams by an average of about 22 points a game. St. Cecilia, 23-1. Their only loss is to Pierce, and they avenged that loss yesterday in a 46-39 victory over their rivals. You see the brackets as they got here. Chadron did have a time with Syracuse. Syracuse did a pretty good job on Elliot Eliason, held him to just 4 points and 5 rebounds, which for a kid that's 6'11", that can be hard to do when you usually have about 3 to 6, sometimes 7 or 8 inches on the next tallest guy. So St. Cecilia, who comes in with a decided height disadvantage, though Zach Stirrup does measure in at 6'8". Remember, physical. That's how this team likes to play. And it depends on, many times, many coaches said, it depends on how close the officials decide to call the game as to what kind of a game St. Cecilia can play.
Yeah, talking to St. Cecilia head coach Kevin Asher prior to the contest, he said that he's not so much concerned about Elliot Eliason, it's more Zach Bargan that really concerns him. He plans on just going man-to-man early with Eliason and see what kind of damage they can do with Stirrup in the ballgame.
And Bargan missed his first 3. Bargan has been the leading scorer for Chadron through the 2 games at 19 against Syracuse and 27 yesterday. But he missed his first shot, and now here's St. Cecilia.
Chadron coming out in a 2-3 zone.
Open 3 is on the way, but it rolls out. Jake Hamburger.
And there is Eliason to pull down the rebound. Just to fill people in on Eliason's story, he's a junior, a highly regarded post player based on the fact he is 6'11", has nice touch around the rim, being heavily recruited by both Doc Sadler and Dana Altman. Creighton, Nebraska obviously would love to keep him within the state border.
Also keep in mind, because he is out west, you get the Colorado States and the Wyomings who show interest as well, just because of proximity. They get a chance to play closer to home. Foul's going to be on Chadron. It'll be on Bargan. That's his first foul of the game. And St. Cecilia will inbound. 3 players average in double figures for the Blue Hawks. Number 1, Dalton Seeley. The gentleman who just had the ball, Jake Hamburger, number 25, at 13 points a game, and Blake Wright averages 10 points a game. Traveling is called, and a turnover against the Blue Hawks.
You know, this should be an awfully fun game, despite the fact I don't want to shortchange C1 by any means, but this might be one of the best C1 fields we've had in quite a while. The fact that these two teams arguably could be, you know, really excelling in Class B. We really don't know how they would stack up in Class A, but we know that these two teams are capable of beating some of the top teams of the class.
Bargan takes a long 3, and it falls short. Here come the Blue Hawks. St. Cecilia's already got a win over number 1 rated Ralston, who we will see in our next game against Beatrice. Looking for the backdoor cut. The feed by Seeley. The finish by Hamburger. The first points of the game.
Excellent pass by Seeley. Across the lane, fired it in there. Hamburger slicing right behind the defense on the baseline. He finishes. We have our first points of the ball game.
Now Chadron into the front court. Entry to Eliason. And that shot may have been altered just a little bit. Zane Anstein, he's only 6'2", but he is strong, and he could give Eliason some problems. And filling the hole is Blake Wright, and it's 4-0 in favor of St. Cecilia.
Well, that last bucket came in transition. That's one way to take Eliason out of the ballgame, run the floor. A lot of times he's going to be trailing the play, not the quickest player on the court. So if St. C can push it, probably means good things for them.
Timeout Chadron. 4-0 in favor of the Blue Hawks. The Class C1 championship just underway. You take a look inside that Chadron huddle. Craig Nobling, their head coach, and the Blue Hawk being surfed through the crowd. The third member of our broadcast crew here this afternoon and this evening is Dan Hedman. Dan?
Guys, you mentioned how far Chadron traveled to get here, about an 8-hour drive, but they're used to that. Their closest road game this year, 50 miles away. They played a pair in Wyoming. They say they're used to the hotel life, almost like a college team, so this is not strange territory for Chadron. A slow start right now, but I don't think it has anything to do with playing on the road, guys.
Here's Eliason underneath for 2, and to kind of add to that story, Dan, their bus had problems getting away. They had to borrow a bus from Crawford to get the traveling party here to the game. Had about a 3-hour delay just getting out of the panhandle. That bus has had a lot of miles put on it. 3 is good by number 3, Craig Farmer, and it's a 5-point early lead for the Blue Hawks.
Seeing some good basketball early. St. Cecilia operating pretty good offensively. Chadron, a little bit of misfortune early, but that last possession looked good with Eliason down at the post.
Holmquist misses the long jumper, and here come the Blue Hawks. So far, St. Cecilia with the advantage on both the boards and offensively.
Nice ball movement.
And another wide open 3. And if St. Cecilia is knocking these things down, it's going to be a long afternoon and evening for the Cardinals.
They're a great basketball team, St. Cecilia. I've had the fortune of being able to see them multiple times throughout this year. And if they get hot, look out. They have so many good players on the perimeter. Then they can also body up down low. I know they're giving up 9 inches currently in the post. Zane Anstein is the one trying to guard Eliason. As you see, Eliason head to the free throw stripe.
Yeah, Eliason will have to be physical in this game.
And that's the knock on Eliason. I know he's getting a lot of D1 interest, but some people say that he has yet to prove that he can really bang in there. So there's some question as to, can he make that transition to Nebraska playing a very physical Big 12? We're going to find out a little bit about that today with Elliot Eliason, because the Blue Hawks will bang, bang, bang the 6'11" center.
So 1 for 2 on that trip to the line goes Eliason. 10-3, the early lead for the Blue Hawks. Anstein outside the arc, a look down low. Nice easy touch, Blake Wright.
Now the reason that worked is because Anstein came all the way out on the wing. He was guarded man-to-man by Eliason. He pulled Eliason completely out of the lane, freed up the bucket down low.
And a big flush from the big guy. He got the entry pass and had a clear shot. And he took it down, and Chadron within 7, and that always brings the crowd to their feet. A Drive to the baseline and a kick out. Open jumper. Wow, St. Cecilia really filling the hole here. A stark contrast from our Class A game where neither team could buy a bucket.
I didn't really want to bring it up, but we've had a little bit more offense here in the first 4.5 minutes than almost an entire half of the Class A game.
I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't something wrong with the baskets. And there's the outside specialist, Zach Bargan. If St. Cecilia is going to be that hot from the field, they need Zach Bargan to contribute.
Bodies fly to the ground.
Oh, that'll be the first of many in this game. Three on the way is good, and Jake Hamburger.
St. Cecilia I can only think of one missed shot this entire quarter.
That's right, they're 7 of 8. Little give inside, off the glass, and a runner is good by Bargan. You have to figure, though, the up-tempo pace would favor St. Cecilia as well.
Absolutely. This game is going from one end to the next in a hurry.
Only the second miss by the Blue Hawks and the foul. With 2:48 left, second team foul against St. Cecilia, and we're back. Nope. Now we'll get the timeout. Beg your pardon, folks. 17-10, St. Cecilia with the lead. Class C1 championship.
Welcome back to the Devaney Center, where there's already been 27 points scored with 2:48 to go in the first quarter. The Chadron huddle echoing that of Kevin Suits, saying, you know what, Hastings St. Cecilia is shooting at an incredible pace. They cannot sustain this. Chadron coach is just saying, you know what, keep going to work. Eventually they'll start missing some.
Well, St. Cecilia stays at a 78% clip, and we'll have some kind of a record set. Though I don't know if they keep records for such things at the state tournament. Here's a three on the way, and that is a foul on the three-point shot. That's 3 free throws coming up for Alec Holmquist, and a break for the Cardinals.
Godo not at the best angle on his pursuit. He wanted to get the hand up, but I think he got there just a second too late, and his body kind of carried right into Holmquist as he goes to the line for 3.
Holmquist, second leading scorer on the team. Eliason averages 14.8, then Holmquist at 14.2, and Bargan, who has been the big scorer this weekend for the Cardinals, at 13.8. He's got 2 of the 3.
Yeah, this team is much more than Elliott Eliason. They've proven that here at the state tournament. The fact that they beat Syracuse in a very tough opening round game by 13 points when Eliason was held to just 4, that speaks volumes as to the balance that's really on the court for the Cardinals.
Yeah, they still put up 53 points in that game without the big contributor from their big guy. 2 out of 3 on the free throws. And there's Eliason with the block. Just grabbed the ball right out of the hands of Dalton Seeley. That's 6'11 versus 6'2. Can be an unfair fight. Kick out, wide open 3. Little too strong. And the rebound to Paul Gator.
Chadron's really cranking up the intensity on the point of attack. Still, there was a slip in there in the lane, getting Hamburger free.
And a real nice ball movement. That's how St. Cecilia plays it. They can pass, play defense, and as we've seen, they can shoot. 19 to 12. And we got a foul against the Blue Hawks. That's team foul number 4. And that is on Seeley, his first. And with that, Bo Schwenka will check in for Kevin Asher.
Asher, the first-year coach at Hastings St. Cecilia. Came over from Twin River.
He actually had a chance to get that job a couple of years ago. Remember, they went with an interim staff last year, and the Blue Hawks went on to win the state title. Asher had the opportunity to take that job first. And look at that. Now Sterra hitting from 18 feet away. Asher actually passed on the job 2 years ago and decided to take it this year after having seen enough of the Blue Hawks as the coach at Wood River.
Yeah, Asher helped retain some of that staff from last year, too. We see on the bench Mike Alsman, who was the main coach in the title game a year ago. Wow, how about this offense, John?
21 to 18 as Holmquist hits another 3. So Chadron going tit for tat. 75% from the field are the Blue Hawks. 54% for the Cardinals. Sterra. And over the mat. That'll be team foul number 5 on the Blue Hawks.
Man, I hate to bring up that Class A game again, but this is such a jarring change from the last game we just saw.
Well, it all depends, you know, and I have to believe. Well, just a second. I think they just changed the call. They did. The foul's going to be on Chadron, not on St. Cecilia.
Craig Nobeling.
And it's on Bargan. That is his second. And that was not what Greg Nobeling was hoping for.
He's been working the official for the past 45 seconds.
Now, I don't know if they changed it or if it was misinterpreted at first from the scorer's table.
Seemed like everybody started moving down the floor, though, as to what they thought the foul was on St. Cecilia.
Final 16 seconds of the period. St. Cecilia leads by 3. This is Heinrichs. Heinrichs having all kinds of problems getting away from John McClain. 3 on the way. Hamburger nails it. Half court. This would count. Not quite. It's about the only thing that hasn't fallen here in this first quarter. Good first quarter of action. St. Cecilia 24, Chadron 18. This is the Class C1 championship. Well, looks like the Deltas are in the house. All we're missing is John Belushi
And the Dan Hedman toga chant.
Not the only student section that has gone all white. We saw Southwest in our last game go with the all-white look and are traveling on St. Cecilia, so they don't even get a chance to execute their offense to start here in quarter number 2. Chadron basketball down by 6. First half, first quarter numbers, 10 of 14 from the floor for the Blue Hawks, 6 of 11 for Chadron. Just 3 combined turnovers between these two teams.
Extremely clean basketball game so far. I'm just impressed with each team, especially on offense, the way they operate.
How about that high lob? And how about down the floor? Now away from the basketball as you were watching the end. Down on the other end, Travis Reeves, all 5'10", went through Zane Anstein. Anstein, number 41 for St. Cecilia, probably could pass for a wrestler with the guns on him, yet Travis Reeves ran right through him, and Anstein, trying to be unselfish, flopped to the floor hoping for a foul call, did not get it.
Oh, resulted in a turnover on the carry. Now Chadron has the basketball.
Here's Eliason, no basket, but he'll go to the line to shoot 2.
You know what Eliason has had to set up in its half-court set? For the most part, they've been working inside out, trying to get the ball inside, but you got to credit Chadron on good spacing. Nice, nifty pass. They've been able to get the ball inside there. We've seen a lot of times here at the state tournament over the past few days, John, difficulty just getting the ball in the post. So credit Chadron for just the way they're running their offense, spacing it well, and getting some nice post-entry pass from the players on the perimeter.
Exactly. You lose a lot of that size advantage when you've got more bodies in there.
And St. Cecilia, they're not doing really anything different to guard Eliason. They're going man-to-man, just letting Anstein try to body up and see what he can do.
Well, when you have the athletes and the depth that St. Cecilia does, they're not going to get away from what made them the top team in Class C1 by some people's estimations, though Chadron because of the undefeated mark. And there again, Travis Reeves running through St. Anstein. He's starting to develop a little reputation for himself here.
Well, we knew bodies were going to fly.
Here's a hanging jumper, no, and the rebound to Eliason. You know, you got to give credit to Chadron. St. Cecilia came in with a reputation of being a physical, tough team, and Chadron has not buckled under that kind of pressure. Now, here's Eliason. He wanted it. And Anstein got in the way, knocked it down. Here comes Seeley. He'll take it in himself. Goes in, throws the shoulder in, will get the block, no charge. Boy, did he throw a shoulder in there, though.
He went hard.
Well, I guess it looked a little lot more aggressive in real motion, but still, contact made. Foul on McClain. At the foul line is Seeley. This is the first. Dalton Seeley averages 14 points. He's the leading scorer for the Blue Hawks on the season. Hamburger with 13 points, and Blake Wright with 10. Goes 1 for 2 on that trip, and the Blue Hawk lead is 5. Undefeated Chadron versus one-loss Hastings St. Cecilia for the Class C1 championship here at the Devaney Center.
The Blue Hawks won the title a year ago. Didn't lose much from that team.
That's 3 threes from Alec Holmquist. Each one a little different than the one before. That time, catch and release. On the run, jump shot. Tried the reverse layup, no luck there. Eliason had it. Referees asking for help on which way it should go. They say Chadron basketball.
Bodies are just all over the floor.
Well, game going just about as we expected. 5:52 left in the first half. Alongside Kevin Suits, our courtside reporter Dan Hedman, I'm John Bishop. Welcome back. The 99th Boys State Basketball Tournament. There have been indeed some memories. A classic overtime matchup in D2. Two of the most unbelievable three-pointers you will see out of a true freshman for Ravenna in our first game that helped turn the tide in that game. And the lowest scoring Class A final since World War II. And here we've got Chadron and Hastings St. Cecilia in a slugfest, but both teams are filling the hole right now. It's 25-23.
Yeah, both teams shooting well over 50%. Looks like we're going to get a foul called on a moving screen by Hastings St. Cecilia. John, building on a point you mentioned about 5 minutes ago, the fact that this game is very physical plays into St. Cecilia's favor, but actually credit Chadron to just the way that they've been able to say, we can play that brand of basketball as well. It hasn't really gotten to them, and you haven't seen them really buckle to that very trademark style of basketball for St. C.
Give and go, nicely done. As McLean goes in with a reverse layup off the assist by Elliot Eliason, and we're tied at 25. For the lead, no. And over the back, it's going to be called on. Yep, that'll be number 1 on Elliot Eliason. As Blake Wright was trying to come right back with the quick jumper. St. Cecilia's cooled off a bit, but they're still 59% from the floor, and Chadron 57%.
Yeah, and St. Cecilia is going to get big. You see Zach Stirrup checking into the ball game. That's an improvement of about 5 inches when they bring him in and take out Blake Wright.
Traveling. Well, we'll see how Stirrup does against Eliason. Elliot Eliason with 7 points early on. It's been Holmquist, though, with those 3 threes. He's got the ball right now, enters it into Eliason. He's got 11. Over the top. And he draws the foul. You have Zach Stirrup and Matt Stirrup. This is going on 55, Matt Stirrup. And that is number 7 on St. Cecilia already.
You know, good footwork by Elliot Eliason. That's the one thing I'm really impressed with so far. I noticed yesterday, it really just played out in front of my eyes how good of touch he has around the basket. He hasn't really displayed that same touch today. He's had a lot of free throw opportunities, but the one thing that's really jumping out is just when he catches the ball, he usually has his back to the basket. But he's had a few nice drop steps, good pivots. He's using his body really well, and I think it all comes from his feet. Doing a good job pivoting, working around the defenders because he's man-to-man. The last time it was Stirrup right behind him.
Blue Hawks not happy with that call. Zach Bargan gets a possession here for Chadron. Now looking right in his face. Matt Stirrup not wanting him to shoot the 3. Chadron up by 1. Travis Reeves.
Another body hits the floor away from the basketball.
Fadeaway 3 is no good. And you can see they're paying a lot of attention to Zach Bargan. They do not want him to get going with those 3s. Stirrup, 18-footer is good.
Stirrup's got great range. That's his shot.
He does have a nice shot. You look at his body and you would think he's got to be a true post-up guy getting physical, but he's a banger.
But he really can step out and hit that 15, 18-foot jump shot right on the baseline.
Same way the other side, it's in. Holmquist with 13 points and Chadron back up by 1 as we're under 4 minutes to play here in the first half. Entertaining basketball game here in Class C1.
Yeah, to say the least. These teams have just shot lights out. And now we're starting to see the game kind of settle in a little bit more.
And he fills it again. Matt Stirrup, same spot on the floor as the time before. And he's come in with a quick 4 points. And St. Cecilia goes back up by 1.
Well, I don't think Eliason wants to get too far away from the basket. He's the one that's going to have to step out maybe another step or two to defend that baseline jump shot. That's fair.
And there's the tip in, the offensive board, the tip in. Eliason with 8. Chadron back up again. 3 from the corner is good. They just keep making shots. Dalton Seeley. Kevin, they are 5 of 6 from beyond the arc, St. Cecilia.
And there's good defense around them. That's the thing. It's not like these shots are just completely wide open looks. This isn't a shooting practice. This is a full court up and down basketball game.
And after the confab with the officials, they reverse the call, and it will be St. Cecilia basketball when we come back. 2:53 to go in the first half. Hastings St. Cecilia, 65% from the floor. Chadron, 56%. As you take a look at some of the Blue Hawk faithful that have made the trip here to Lincoln. Hamburger almost fumbled it away. Now he'll take it all the way in against Eliason. And the big guy goes smacking to the deck. And the foul is on him. That's his second.
Yeah, Hamburger just came flying into the lane. Almost a bit out of control, but he still bodies up and gets the bump from Eliason. The big thing there is it's a second personal foul. You might see him come out here in the second quarter. You don't want him to pick up number 3 before halftime. That would really change the complexion of this basketball game.
And with that, here comes John Lardino, 6'4" forward, to spell Eliason. And we've got a moment here. The officials coming over and wanting a word with our scorers table.
Well, Craig Nobling's been awfully active here today. Very animated. He's not one of the quiet types for the coaches.
Right, you take a look at him right there. His team averaged 67 points a game. Defensively, gave up 44.5. Just to put the Blue Hawks up 4. With 2:42 to go. Now, we'll see how different this offense looks, but don't get much of a look, at least initially, because Zach Stirrup called with a reach-in. That's team foul number 8, by the way, on the Blue Hawks, so free throws coming up.
Chadron offense is fine, even with Elliot Eliason out of the basketball game. You look at the three-point field goal percentage, that is just, wow. 4 of 10 and 5 of 6. Chadron's been faced with the Eliason foul trouble situation before. They've dealt with it. And also, you got to keep in mind, Holmquist is in the basketball game right now. He already has 13 points. So it's not just a one-man show for Chadron.
3 of those 4 threes you saw on our graphic are from Holmquist. 34-31. The deficit is 3 for the Cardinals. Entry to Stirrup. We'll try the short corner jumper, and it's too short. So here comes Chadron, McLean into the front court. Holmquist, and that ball's coming our way. Look out! We have very expensive equipment here. Okay?
That was close.
We don't need. And I've got, my drink here. I don't need any of this. I've been lucky in the years I've called this. I don't think I've ever had anyone end up in my lap. I'd like to keep it that way, if you don't mind.
Let me know you're looking out for the Diet Pepsi as well.
Well, you know,
That could be bad.
the lid is
Still
on,
like
by the
that.
way. The way I knew the way these two teams might play this game, the lid's going to stay on. I don't want anyone coming in here into my grill.
It was like a racetrack right in front of us, sprinting right down the sideline in front of us.
Yeah, we don't have a catch fence either, like they do in NASCAR. So far, we've had a few wrecks, but no injuries. And in the meantime, despite the physical nature, both teams still playing really good offensive basketball, and they're going to call it off. Zach Stirrup.
Stirrup picked up the pivot foot. He's trying to spin, towards the basket through the paint, but as he was doing so on the pivot, the foot lifted just a touch. We'll have to call it travel.
John McClain into the front court for the Cardinals. Off the dribble. Guess what? We're tied.
Guess what? Another three.
Why not? Each team now with 5 trays.
Hey, by the way, 34-34. That was the winning point total in the Class A final.
Right back at you comes Dalton Seeley. Seeley with 9 points. We're coming up on a minute to go in a very entertaining first half of basketball.
To say the least, this has been fantastic basketball on both ends of the court.
From the corner, it's up, it's down. Travis Reeves gives Chadron the lead.
And Chadron has so many shooters on the perimeter. Reeves, McClain, Holmquist, they have a lot of weapons that can beat you.
Another knockdown, this time getting it was Blake Wright. Travis Reeves is playing very physical. That is 3 Blue Hawks he has plowed to the floor on the defensive end. He's number 3. He's kind of jammed up there at the free throw line trying to free himself up. They're moving to the top of your screen. That's 3 Blue Hawks he has floored here today.
Holmquist might be the one to take the final shot. We'll see here. Maybe McClain, Holmquist.
McClain working against Seeley. Little bounce pass, backdoor cut, no. Tip up, no. Put back, block, and he'll go to the line to shoot free throws. Travis Reeves.
I wasn't sure how that was going to play out because Reeves went down to his ankles to get the basketball with a pair of white jerseys around him. I figured when he went up it was likely going to get rejected, but instead of the block, it's a foul on Stirrup.
Actually, according to the scoreboard, they got that on Wright, and that's his 3rd. Blake Wright, 3rd leading scorer, with 3 fouls in the first half. And he's going to come out understandably. First free throw, though, missed by Travis Reeves. We've already mentioned his name a few times today, 5'10" senior. Averages not quite 6 points and a little over 2 rebounds a game. There's the second 2-point game, 3.8 seconds left. Pulling up just inside of half court, and he almost got the friendly bounce. We go to the locker room. Chadron 38, Hastings St. Cecilia 36. The game has lived up to its billing here in Class C1. As both teams closing in on 60% from the floor here in this first half. Let's head down courtside. Dan Hedman is with Craig Nobling of Chadron.
All right, thanks, Coach. Coming in, quick pace. You think it would favor Hastings St. Cecilia, your team up 2 at the half?
You know what? Both teams are shooting the ball extremely well at this point. We talked about runs in the game, and both teams right now are hitting shots back and forth. It's a fun game to watch, that's for sure.
Is it going to come down to who's hotter in the second half? What will you tell them?
You know what? It's going to come down to who's tougher in the second half. I know that I told our kids before the game that we're not going to try to get hit on any screens, try to move as much as possible. We'll see who takes the last shot in the game. I think that's what it may come down to.
All right, thanks very much, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll head to a break right now. 38-36, Chadron in the lead. Highlights when we return.
State team, this according to the coaches after 10-11 polled coaches in Class C went across the state of Nebraska. It starts with a pair of players from Central Nebraska, GICC, Spencer Fahey and Jake Hamburger, who we're seeing today. Don't leave out Denver Klaus, Nick Reed, and Jacob Oslager from Pierce. Spencer Fahey finished with 19 points per game this season. What a great career he had with the Crusaders.
Yeah, and he's the only one of those 5 who didn't get a chance to play here at State this year. Jake Hamburger has 12 in the first half to help lead the Blue Hawks in this one, but Denver Klaus of Bennington, I believe Bennington won the 3rd place game today in Class C1. Nick Reed of Syracuse, his team was knocked out in the first round, and of course Jacob Wolfslager of Pierce. That was just a absolute bloodbath yesterday between Pierce and St. Cecilia, 2 rivals going at it, and congratulations to Jacob to advance onto this Class C1 All-State team, as you mentioned, voted on by the coaches. A lot of good players in Class C1, including Elliot Eliason, who did not make the team this year.
But that's what the coaches say.
Diet today. Back at the Devaney Center, Chadron leads by 2 in the Class C1 championship game. Your first half numbers, and as we've been telling you, it was a hot start. 7 of their first 8 shots went down for St. Cecilia. They since cooled off to a mere 56%. Chadron, though, 57%. You can see from 3-point range, both teams at 50% or better. And look at that, Blue Hawks out-rebounding Elliot Eliason and the Cardinals 13-10. Individual scoring, Jake Hamburger with 12. The only player in double figures for St. Cecilia, though, Dalton Seeley has 9. Then you've got Alec Holmquist with 3 of those 6 Cardinal 3-pointers. He's got 13 points. Elliot Eliason, who played the last 2 minutes, was on the bench, actually, so he didn't play the last 2 minutes of the half, but he's got 10 so far.
John, I just think it's wild that both these teams are shooting above 50% from beyond the arc, just lighting it up. It started in the first quarter. It really carried over into the second quarter, and here we are. Chadron leading by 2. A lot of credit goes to Chadron, just hanging tough and, I guess, molding to this very physical basketball game that we have seen. It's not exactly their cup of tea when it comes to style of play.
Well, as you take a look at some of the first half highlights, Craig Farmer from the corner, Jake Hamburger, 3 of his 12. And then Matt Sterup, a couple of jumpers he's had from that location on the floor. But for Chadron, well, first the flush from Elliot Eliason, then the dish. And for good measure, 1 of 3 threes from Holmquist. Very entertaining first half, 38-36, and you got to expect at some point the hot shooting is going to cool off at least a little bit, but at what point does more of that physical style start to take hold again? Because yes, Chadron was good at holding up bump for bump, bang for bang with St. Cecilia, but you wonder at what point does that physical nature start to take its toll. Eliason, I thought that was good. Granted, he got 2 fouls, but they kept him on the bench for the last couple of minutes of the first half, maybe to get him away from some of that, not only to keep him out of foul trouble, but also to get him away from some of the more physical style that St. Cecilia likes to play.
I'm not so sure that that's going to wear on Chadron. I think they just look so comfortable playing this physical brand of basketball that it's not really going to affect them. St. Cecilia, we know they're going to be fine because they're used to 4 quarters of this. Chadron might not be used to the 4 quarters, but from what we've seen so far in the first 2 quarters, they're just fine playing this style of basketball. They're up by 2.
All right, well, we'll find out together if they can hang in there. Chadron up by 2. We're coming up with the second half in just a moment as you look at the Believers and Achievers. The NSAA and premier partner U.S. Bank honoring the Believers and Achievers, young men and women who excel not only in the classroom but in extracurricular activities and in the community for their respective high schools. It's become a tradition not only at boys and girls state basketball but at all of the NSAA sanctioned final events. And they are getting honored here at halftime of this Class C1 game, led by Chadron, 38-36. Let's review what happened in the first session today, and we really started off. Actually, all of our games have been close. It's just been a different style in each one. Ravenna coming from behind to beat Freeman 57-51. And when I say coming from behind, they were behind for a very short period, but a pair of clutch 3-pointers from Connor Baronic, each one further away than the next. I think we estimated that if you added the feet distance, it was probably a combined 60 feet in threes, but they came back to back, erased Freeman's rally, which had come back from as much as 15 down to take a 1-point lead. Ravenna goes on to win by 6. The game of the day, no doubt, was in Class D2. Sterling over Ewing in overtime. Game-winning jumper by Zach Lemke from 18 feet away, as Sterling at one point up 6 in the overtime, lost the lead in the last minute, but then got the inbounds play and Zach Lemke's game-winning jumper with less than 4 seconds left, and Sterling and Jimmy Motes go on to beat Ewing 49-48, denying Ewing the chance to win, become the first school in known history to win boys and girls state basketball, football, and girls volleyball. And then in Class A, Creighton Prep and Southwest in a slugfest, Prep prevailing 34-31 to win their 11th state championship.
It's been a fun morning session. This afternoon session certainly hasn't disappointed. Just one half into it, 38-36 Chadron leading. Head coach Kevin Asher down courtside with Dan Hedman.
All right, Coach, both teams shooting over 50% in the first half. Do you expect that to continue?
I really don't. We got to tighten up our defense a little bit. You know, we haven't given up this many points in the first half of a game all year. So, you know, we just got to do a better job knowing their tendencies and getting a hand in their face. And, you know, we got to work inside out. I think that's the biggest thing. We haven't got many inside looks, and they have because of Eliason.
Nip and tuck game so far, 2-point game at the half. I mean, what should we expect in the second half?
Well, we got to get out on our pressure a little more. They're getting too many easy entries, and if we do a better job of that pressure on the entry, I don't think it'll be so easy to see Eliason. But give them credit. I mean, they're just knocking down shots, too. So
one quick question here before your team hits us with some basketballs, but Dalton Seeley seems to be the catalyst in this one right now. I mean, if it comes down to the final shot, you feel confident in your guys?
Yeah, we do. We got 2 wing players, Seeley and Hamburger, and, you know, it might come down to that. And we've got a couple sets that we run, so hopefully we'll get that opportunity.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck. We'll have second half action when we return. It's 38-36, Chadron in the lead.
Well, Chadron with 38 first half points. That's already 5 more than the season defensive average allowed by the Blue Hawks. When you look at their season schedule, only 3 times did teams clear 50, and 2 of those games were to 2 of the better teams in the state. Boys Town, a very athletic team. They gave up 63 in a 2-point win, and in their win over Ralston, the number 1 team in Class B, they gave up 64. Other than that, you have to go back to Pierce, the only loss that the Blue Hawks had when they gave up 50. But Chadron already with 38 here in the first half, and they turn it over to the Cardinals, so here come the Blue Hawks.
Yeah, and that's what you heard Kevin Asher say. They need to tighten the screws on defense. That was the number 1 order of business to discuss at halftime.
Drive in, reverse layup, missed by Farmer. And here come the Cardinals. Eliason back out there on the floor, also Wright on the floor, but Wright has 3 fouls. He's number 33, moving inside of the free throw line right now. 3 on the way is short by Travis Reeves.
No touch for Eliason on that sequence, partly because St. Cecilia's really trying to deny that post-entry pass.
A look outside for Seeley. A little more of a feeling out process here in the second half. Hamburger, short. Ball fumbled around though. Who's going to come away with it? Chadron will off the kick. And here come the Cardinals. There it is. There it is. Another flush. Good recognition. John McClain inside. Elliot Eliason, 4-point Chadron lead.
Excellent pass by McClain. It's almost like he knew exactly how that was going to play out. Waited till the defender committed, then had a nice solid feed where Eliason could catch, go up strong, and throw it down.
Had plenty of time to think about that three, and all of a sudden, St. Cecilia's missing the basket altogether. Big difference from how they started the game, 7 of their first 8. Hamburger will drive all the way in on Eliason, but then nobody there helped defensively, and Hamburger was able to get probably the easiest offensive rebound he's going to get all day, and puts it back in.
Yeah, after the bump, Eliason kind of got pushed out of play, wasn't really in position to bring down the rebound, thus Hamburger with the putback for 2.
Bargain And his pass rejected by the bottom of the glass. Now they'll run, but throw it away. And Hamburger is saying, hey, I was open left side. He was trying to go to Blake right of the basket. Hamburger, though, was the better option. And it's a turnover against the Blue Hawks.
The safer option. Because Hamburger really was unguarded on that sequence.
McLean looks for Eliason playing in the high blocks now. He'll rotate in, and we'll go to the free throw line to shoot two.
See the footwork there, John? That was an excellent job. Catching the ball, he was strong up high, but then he let his feet, with a nice little spin move. Look at the little hop step, gets enough separation where he can go up with the hook. I know the shot didn't fall, but just the ability to spin around and create that shot, he gets to the free throw line.
And he gets the friendly roll off the rim. Eliason with 13 points. He's 4 for 5 from the field and 5 of 7 from the free throw line.
He's got really good touch for a big fella. And as I say that, I apologize.
Exactly.
The jinx.
Now St. Cecilia down by 3 here. Seeley, moving screen, foul away from the basketball against the Blue Hawks. Craig Farmer saying, what, me? And it's not against him, it's actually, who are they going to call that on? 55, I'm sorry, I thought I saw 5-0, it was 5-5. Matt Stirrup called with the foul away from the ball. Second foul and a half against the Blue Hawks. Morgan saw a lane, took it in. Morgan may have been a little surprised too that he had that much room in there.
Yeah, he shook Hamburger, and Hamburger didn't get the help that he wanted, allowing Bargain to get free in the lane and lay it in for two. All of a sudden, Chadron with a 5-point lead, the biggest lead they've had in the championship game.
And Craig Noblin came all the way out to half court to greet his Cardinals and lead them back to the huddle. He is excited about the way his team has come out and played here in this Class C1 championship game. And again, even though Chadron is undefeated, a lot of times, and it's just natural, it happens when you have a state like this that is so heavily populated on one end versus the other, that western end usually doesn't get a lot of the credit. As you take a look at head coach Doc Sadler of the University of Nebraska here to watch today's game, and most specifically Mr. Eliason. But you get teams from the West who always kind of come in here with a chip on their shoulder, and sure, in most cases, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the East usually prevails. But those Western schools, especially the ones that know that they can compete, come in here with a chip on their shoulder, and I think Chadron has done that here today. Good pass inside, and Matt Stirrup goes up and in over Eliason for two. He's got 8 points.
Yeah, Eliason's not willing to get his third foul. It's too valuable to the Cardinals. He knows he already has two.
Pull-up jumper way short, but Eliason right there for the offensive board, but cannot finish. And now the Blue Hawks want to run, and that was a lucky break. The ball ricocheted off the hands of McLean. It was thrown into traffic. And Blake Wright ends up with it in his breadbasket. A play that looked like it was designed to work that way, but really it probably shouldn't have. Eliason, too strong with the baby hook off the glass. Here they come again, another nice outlet pass, and count the basket.
That last time out, Kevin Asher said, let's push the tempo. Eliason was becoming too big of a factor in the half-court slow-down game, so let's run the floor, and all of a sudden, bang, bang, bang. 3 quick buckets for Hastings St. Cecilia, and they lead. They erased that 5-point deficit in a hurry, something we saw out of them yesterday in the semifinals. They were down by 11 at halftime. They made up an 11-point deficit in about a 6-minute span.
Yeah, they did so very, very quickly against Pierce. And once that ball started rolling, Pierce could not stop it. Granted, they only lost by 7, but by the end of the game, it felt a lot bigger margin. Just the way that the Blue Hawks took over the latter half of the third and the fourth quarters. Runner, too strong.
They're looking to run again.
This time pulling it back. They'll open it up. There's that short corner jumper once again. But Matt Stirrup too short this time. And Chadron will bring it back the other way. Chadron needs a little bit of a momentum switch right now because you still feel it in favor of St. Cecilia. Bargan gets in separation. Falling, can't make the shot. Eliason saves it into the hands of McLean, and a timeout taken by the Cardinals. With 3 minutes and 4 seconds left to play here in the third period, St. Cecilia leads it 44-43. Chadron has 3 timeouts remaining.
A lot of basketball yet to play, John. But this game has been back and forth, and you get a sense that this will come down to the wire. I don't think anybody's going to pull away by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, the two teams have cooled off from the floor. St. Cecilia down at 51% shooting.
Down at.
Down, yeah, 51 for St. Cecilia, 48 for Chadron. Chadron has started the second half. Some quick math here. Chadron so far 0 for their first 4 in the period. They were 14 of 25 at the break, and now 14 of 29. Does that sound right? I thought for sure they had a field goal in there. They haven't made it from the free throw line, so I think the stats need to be updated here. And hard to believe that is right. Yeah, they think that they... Oh, I beg your pardon. I was looking at St. C. They were 12 of 21, so they are 2 of 8 in the half. And there's a drive and count the basket. So after we correct everything, Chadron's going to go to the free throw line, and John McLean will try to complete the three-point play old-fashioned.
Similar play that we saw in the opening half, just a little give and go. He entered it to Elias, and that pulled Stirrup up and opened up that backside lane, and there comes McLean slicing through, gets the nice feed, and finishes strong. Chadron now in the lead.
That's right, 2-point lead, so both teams using timeouts effectively to seize back control of the game. Right now, it's Chadron's turn. Been a lot of bird sightings in this building. We've had Blue Jays, we have Blue Hawks, and you just saw a Cardinal. And we had Silverhawks and Junior Jays in the Class A game.
This day's for the birds.
So far it has been. Well, let's see, Ravenna's Blue Jays won.
The Flyers of Sterling.
Sterling's Jets, not a bird of a not a bird of a natural kind, but of a man-made kind. So if your nickname does not have something to do with flight, you are not going to succeed here today, it would appear. That may be tested a little bit in our next game with Orange Men and Rams. Very sorry.
Land-oriented mascots.
Yeah. No one's really understood what an orangeman is, though, I don't think. It's a color.
Bravo. Heinrich's just trying to get in the lane. The hop step got whistled for it to travel.
That is the 9th turnover against the Blue Hawks, and Chadron has the ball right back. McLean into the front court, works against Nick Heinrichs. Eliason playing way out beyond his usual blocks. Getting a lot.
Eliason doesn't like this pressure being applied to him by Stirrup. Maybe just got away with a little elbow.
From the corner, short on the 3. That was a guarded 3 by Holmquist. Not a great look. Back in.
Man, how good does Wright run the floor?
Yes, he runs it very well.
He's a big fella too. He just runs. He goes, and they usually want to get the basketball ahead to him.
Yeah, 6'3", good build. Let's watch him again.
You know, he's one of the first ones down the floor. That's your 6'3" forward.
I don't care what your size is. If you can't run for this team, you're probably not going to play.
But it says a lot, too, the fact that St. Cecilia, again, here late in the third quarter, off the rebound, they wanted to move the ball quickly up the floor. That's been the way they're trying to take Eliason out of the ball game. If they run, make it a track meet, Eliason's usually going to trail a play.
Goes 1 for 2 on that trip, does Blake Wright. And it's 46-45 as you took a quick look there at Kevin Asher, first-year head coach of the Blue Hawks. Trying to help this school repeat as champion. Turnover. Hamburger got it poked right back away. It was a 1-on-3, and Hamburger did not respond well that time with the pressure. Here's Holmquist. Keeping a little closer eye on him. Turnover. Errant pass. And Chadron gives it right back, and we'll see Zach Bargan check back in after those two really good games that he's played with 19 and 27 points respectively. Bargan at 7 today, and Paul Gator re-enters for the Blue Hawks.
St. Cecilia gets the ball off an unforced turnover. That makes me think this game has been so clean. We've had very few unforced turnovers. Just an errant pass like that. The sequences like that have been few and far between. It's been a great basketball game.
Dalton Seeley and Hamburger playing catch. Top of the circle, and now Hamburger will back it up. Heinrichs. Under a minute to go here in the third quarter. Chadron up by 1. 3 unguarded. Yes. Dalton Seeley.
It's all because the good ball movement, working the ball around the perimeter. St. Cecilia very patient on that offensive set, and they get the open 3.
12 points for Seeley, and a 2-point St. Cecilia lead, and a foul. And there again, Travis Reeves showing absolutely no quarter, giving no ground whatsoever to the Blue Hawks. He went in aggressively and drew the foul.
The body language on that from Reeves basically said, I have every right of getting to the basket, as do you, Dalton Seeley. So he just made that one hard step, went directly at the basketball hoop. Seeley tried to move with him, but the contact was there, goes against the defense.
Seeley called for the foul, and Hamburger with a nice play, knocks it off the foot, got in the way of the pass, and then thrust it off of Bargan's foot, and it will come back the other way, and St. Cecilia with the 2-point lead may play for the last shot. Watch it again, gets in front of the pass, and then bingo. Didn't have much room for error. Just got him on the instep. Less than 30 seconds left. Will St. Cecilia play for the last shot? It would appear that they will.
Kevin Asher is pointing 1. Multiple options as to who will take this final shot of the quarter.
Greg Farmer works on McLean, and we have a foul on McLean. That's just the third against Chadron. But that is the third foul on McLean. So he and Bargan each with 3 fouls now for the Cardinals. And Garrett Johnson will come in for the final 6.9 seconds here of the third quarter. Entry to Stirrup. Hamburger wants to go in. Oh, wide open, but no finish, but there will be free throws. That was a nicely drawn play.
That was fantastic, the way that was drawn up, and it was executed to perfection. Hamburger goes down the left side of the lane. All the defense comes with him. 4 jerseys, gets Eliason out of position. Fantastic pass by Hamburger to just send it over to Stirrup. Shot didn't fall, but it's going to the line for 2.
That's the third foul on Elliot Eliason.
You know, you look at one of those plays on a play card, and that thing was executed the exact same way it was drawn up.
So now St. Cecilia by 3 can make it 4 here. And Chadron will have an inbound and a desperation heave, most likely. Now, of course, St. Cecilia will make things a little more difficult than that. Pressuring in the backcourt, baseball pass in, ball knocked away, and the desperation heave actually comes from St. Cecilia's Paul Gator, but no harm, no foul. We go to the final quarter. Blue Hawks 50, Cardinals 46. Well, Doc Sadler here to watch, Dana Altman of Creighton here to watch as well, and they have both been regular spectators at all of Chadron's games, including the one they played Thursday at Pershing Center, as Chadron's Elliot Eliason re-enters the game. His team is down 4 to start the final quarter.
Altman might not sleep tonight. The NCAA selection show tomorrow. Creighton squarely on the bubble.
Entry on the back door, and Stirrup cannot finish.
Eliason's 8th rebound of the game, ripping that thing out of there, giving the Cardinals the basketball down by 4.
McLean. Pass didn't have enough on it. Farmer's going to take it in. The dish to Heinrich. Too short on the layup. But the rebound of Farmer, and the Blue Hawks will now reset their offense. Heinrich wants to enter it for Stirrup. Tries to body his way in against Eliason. To no avail. That's a big stop there for Chadron.
That was 2 tries, too. They made 2 stops in that sequence. They get the ball back. No damage done there. It's still a 4-point game.
Chadron's been held without a field goal for the last nearly 4 minutes. Rolling in. That pass was deflected. Otherwise, Eliason had an easy look at the basket, and then he is blocked.
I think he was trying to get the ball over to Holmquist. There were 3 white jerseys there deflected, and St. Cecilia gets the turnover.
So St. Cecilia again a chance to build on the lead, but that jump shot won't go in. From
again, Chadron gets the basketball back. They should be very thankful that this lead for St. Cecilia has not grown over the past few minutes.
Yes, they have had their opportunities. Eliason fouled before he can go in.
Now Eliason's really
been against the Blue Hawks.
Eliason's really been calling for the basketball because he's up against the younger Zach Stirrup. Stirrup, a sophomore. It's the better size matchup, but you got a little trade-off there with the experience when it's Zach Stirrup and not Matt Stirrup.
We're back right after this. From west to east, Chadron. And their cheer squad hoping that those guys right there can make up this 4-point deficit. We're still early in the 4th quarter. Lots of basketball left to play. But Chadron, as we mentioned, has not scored since the 2:47 mark to play in the 3rd period. So
the shooting really has cooled off here in the 2nd half. Remember, these guys were making shots at an amazing clip in the opening half. Bargain was at 57%, St. C at 56.
Bargain rejected, and St. Cecilia, again with a chance to build on this lead. They too have had their opportunities to make this spread a little wider, and have failed to do so. Now look in, Seeley, yes. You cannot leave him that much open space. Within about a 15 to 18-foot radius, he will fill it. And the lead is up to 6. Eliason goes in strong. Nice.
The finger roll from within the lane.
Classic big man move.
Absolutely. About 7 feet away, just a little runner. Push it up, and then awfully nice.
Chadron needed that in the worst way. There's Stirrup. No, tip. And who's going to come up with it? It's going to be Seeley. And again, another offensive board. Hamburger. No. One more try. Why not?
St. Cecilia really hitting the offensive glass. That brings the Blue Hawk faithful to its feet.
Yeah, but you know what? That rim sure played a role in that, because each time the ball came back right to the shooter. And a timeout.
They weren't really rebounds that the big fella from Chadron can just go up and snag. Instead, they were more line drives coming hard off the rim. And those rebounds were being made about 10, 15 feet away from the hoop.
St. Cecilia ball when we come back. Looks like the face paint's starting to wear off just a little bit. The tattoo is wearing away. The white cross is starting to chip. Might need a clear coat or something like that.
It's all that hard cheer in there.
No, you bet. Plenty to cheer for. St. Cecilia up by 4 with the basketball. Under 5 minutes to play here in regulation. Dalton Seeley, Jake Hamburger, and Craig Farmer have each touched it now. And for good measure, a look underneath, a nice pass. Blake Wright finds his teammate Jake Hamburger, and it works for 2.
Hamburger baited Reeves, thinking he was going high. Instead, he slips behind on the backdoor cut. St. C, big bucket.
One guy who we have not talked about much in this second half is the guy at the bottom of your screen now working his way up towards the arc, and that it would be Alec Holmquist. Only one three-point attempt in this second half. Rebound Eliason.
I don't think Kevin actually really liked that shot. It's based on the fact that you got a 6-point lead. Let's work the ball around and maybe take a little time and make sure we're patient on offense, trying to milk the clock.
Oh, Eliason couldn't handle it. Falls down, and then his feet get tangled up with Matt Starrett, but they both go crashing to the floor. In the meantime, here come the guards, and another big collision. Oh, Travis Reeves nearly sparked one there. Reeves has been the physical player for Chadron all day, and Blake Wright took affront to this. Bam! Look at how high Reeves got up there. That's like throwing a high knee lift right in the face.
There was no ill intent on that either. It was just based on the angle and the fact that Reeves got high. He jumped out of his mind on that, and it just happened to be the way that the bodies collided and the angle in which they did so. Thankfully, nobody's hurt on that. That was a brutal collision.
Reeves is one tough cookie. He has shown that here today.
So is Blake Wright, right?
Yes, he is.
Well, we joked before this game, John, that it was almost going to be like a football game just based on the fact that St. Cecilia's in it. And it's been very physical.
Timeout taken by Chadron. Their deficit has now grown to 7 points. The unofficial body count for Travis Reeves is 4, but we should mind you that each one of the Blue Hawks has gotten right back up, which is true to their nature. You know, it's fun. Usually when you equate physical basketball, it usually does not equate to points or good shooting. And granted, the shooting has cooled off here in the second half, but that's what's made this game fun to watch, is that you've had the combination of both the nasty and the sweet.
Yeah, and we noticed more times than not, in state basketball championships, it's a physical game. Refs are not as willing to blow the whistle and control the game. They let them play. That's what I guess we have observed more often today and in years past. So, again, this has been an awfully fun one, and I just like the way that Chadron has really been able to show that they play physical basketball as well. And I can't say enough about Travis Reeves, and he is just fearless out there and will take on anyone, anytime, anywhere, and he has certainly done that today.
Well, here's your game reset. Chadron has the possession arrow in case of a tie-up. They have 2 timeouts remaining. St. Cecilia with 3. Each team with 5 fouls. As far as those in foul trouble, 3 fouls for John McClain and Zach Bargan of Chadron. 3 fouls for Blake Wright. Zane Anstein for St. Cecilia. And with one more free throw coming up, it's Blake Wright. This one would make it an 8-point game, but it rolls off. Hamburger almost got the rebound off the miss. Chadron has to come up with some retaliatory buckets here.
Maybe look for Holmquist. We haven't seen much of him in the second half. Also, Bargan has been awfully silent in this ball game as well. He has 7 points.
Well, those are your 2 big guns
from beyond the arc.
From beyond the arc, which you would expect to see a little bit more of in this second half. Zane Anstein now checks in. Dalton Seeley is back in. And they're going to take a look over on the bench for Blake Wright. Thought they were looking at his knee there a moment ago. Chadron down 7.
Eliason looking for a backdoor cut, nothing doing.
Cecilia doing a good job out on the perimeter. Entry for Eliason, works his way under and scores.
That was nice.
Well, and come out and they're going to press you on the perimeter. You should have that opening underneath.
And it helps that that post entry pass had a lot of hang time, because if there's one person that can really go up and pull that ball in, it's going to be the big fella at 6 feet 11 inches.
Stirrup thought about, but then retreats. St. Cecilia can work a little clock here. Hamburger in, skip pass. And they will work some clock here. Chadron still has to foul twice to send St. Cecilia to the line. And there's the first one. That'll be on Reeves, his second.
That's using one just to use one, just to get St. Cecilia a little bit closer to shooting free throws if need be. But more importantly for Chadron right now, they just need to D up and get a stop. Because you know St. Cecilia will take some time off the clock They're just too disciplined of a basketball team.
Well, you've reached that no man's land zone where a team has had a couple of possession lead and won't be as aggressive offensively. They're going to
Look at McLean come out there. He's going to pressure the basketball.
they're going to hold and they're going to make Chadron come to them.
Good job by Reeves. He cut off the passing lane to Hamburger. So Chadron doing a great job defensively.
Oh, almost getting in there was Reeves. Passed the ball away and out of bounds. And now there are 2 minutes and 18 seconds left. But before we get that, St. Cecilia is going to burn one of their 3 remaining timeouts. "55-50 is our score. This is a 30-second timeout. Chadron trying for their first state championship. They had a nice run in the late 90s, winning in 97 and 99 when they were still in Class B. They were runner-up in this game 2 years ago. St. Cecilia going for back-to-back crowns, just as the team in our next game, Beatrice, will be trying to do. There were a couple of teams that had a chance to go back-to-back, and St. Cecilia is 2 minutes and 18 seconds away from being the first team to do it this week.
A lot of new blood winning state championships this year. This has been one of our more entertaining finals so far. Setting the bar awfully high for the remaining championships, Class B, and then the nightcap will be Class D1.
The inbound into Heinrichs. Gonna take it in, under an addition, he lost it. Nice idea. He'd rotated all the way around to the right, saw Hamburger on the left, and his pass was errant. And that's the turnover the Cardinals needed. Now they must convert into points.
Yeah, must is the key word there, John. They really need these points to cut the deficit.
McLean all the way through. Look for Eliason, and he last touched it.
They say timeout was called by Hastings St. Cecilia. There could be an argument made that there was a travel. The fact that he was on the floor with the basketball, Heinrichs was.
Well, let's watch it again. That's the 4th of 5 timeouts. And you saw the entry to Eliason. And he did. He was calling the timeout. You're right. I mean, it's one of those touchy situations. You can either call it the travel. And we've seen that a lot here, not only today, but this weekend. We've seen a lot of guys down on the floor, and maybe in years past, officials were quick to call the moving violation, but not so much this year. So all the officials have been pretty consistent in that respect, granting the timeout. St. Cecilia saves the possession. I thought for a moment that they were going to call Eliason for being out of bounds. You know, he's got those giant feet. He gets too close to that baseline. It's pretty easy for that toe to dip into out-of-bound waters.
Well, I believe it was McLean, the one that penetrated and stopped about 10 feet away from the basket. He shook his defender a bit, and I think it caught him off guard. He tried to force the ball inside to Elias, and I think if he had that situation back, if he would have known that the defender would have given him that extra step, he might have gone up with the shot himself. So, turnover by Chadron. St. C gets it.
That is the 16th turnover on Chadron. And get this, Kevin, they only had 5 at the break, so that's 11 second-half turnovers. Big difference. Baseball pass, and Eliason plays deep safety and makes, well, at least the deflection, which is good enough as an intercept. For 3. Yes! Travis Reeves with a clutch 3 and a timeout Chadron.
It was a wide-open look. St. Cecilia was trying to push the floor with the pass up ahead, hung up a little bit too long, especially when you have Eliason playing free safety back there. He was able to bat the basketball away. Chadron gets the turnover. Then on the other end, look at Reeves just get free. Sterup thought about coming out there to guard him, but instead he knew there was a body down in the paint he needed to cover as well. So it was an either-or situation. He gave up the 3. Reeves just stepped up and hit a huge three-pointer.
I like this Travis Reeves. I like the way he has approached this game here today.
I think you used the term tough cookie.
I did earlier.
He is one tough cookie, absolutely. I don't know if he plays football for Chadron, but He's a scrappy,
if he does it, he
physical, and you can tell he is just a winner. He just has that aura of him, about him, that I'm sure it's very infectious, and Chadron seems to feed off of his energy and emotion on the floor.
Well, you look at these two teams, and if you line them up body by body, you would think that St. Cecilia would have a definite, I mean, if they had arm wrestling contests, I'd take St. Cecilia man for man.
Right.
Chadron does not look as stocky as some of these St. Cecilia guys do, but they have gone with them punch versus counter punch, and they're only down by 2 right here.
Chadron applying the full court pressure, down by 2 with 1:47 to play.
55-53, St. Cecilia by 2, under 1:40 to play. Hamburger looking for help. Oh, and Reeves almost got the steal, but they calling for the hack. This will be 1-1.
Well, Hamburger kind of picked up his dribble in no man's land. He had a pair of defenders around him. Went to the floor hard after the hack from Reeves.
That's the 3rd foul on Travis Reeves.
This is probably the player you want at the free throw line if you're Hastings St. Cecilia. Even though Hamburger grabbing his knee just a little bit, he went to the floor hard there with Reeves right on his back.
And wipe a little perspiration away from the hardwood. Make sure that we have a clean playing surface. And here's Jake Hamburger. Had 12 points at halftime, has 4 here in the second half. And before the foul shot, no timeout, but we'll have a substitution. Nick Heinrichs will check back in. And Craig Farmer will head to the bench. 1-1. We'll get the second.
That's a big shot right there. It's now a 2-possession ball game. Hastings St. Cecilia up 57 rather, 53. 56-53 rather. That's the big one that I was getting ahead of myself on.
2-possession game though, still 90 seconds left. McLean.
St. Cecilia cranking up the pressure defensively.
That's a tip. No over and back. Oh, he lost it off his foot, but Eliason saved him. Inside, ball tipped around. Eliason trying desperately to get it. It won't come into his hands, but stolen away. Inside, whoa, they're going hard to the floor. And Zach Bargan will go to the line. Wow.
How do you sum up what just happened there? It all started with Hamburger got his hand in there, tipped the basketball away, and then this crazy sequence ensued.
Let's let the replay tell the story.
Everybody just trying to keep the basketball alive. What a great play by McLean coming in there and picking off that pass.
And getting the worst of it was Zach Bargan, who gets up a little bit slowly, but he's okay. Only 7 points here today after scoring 27 yesterday and 19 on Thursday. But he needs these free throws right here. This is a 1-1. St. Anstein will come back in. He'll occupy one of the low block positions. Got them both. 2-point game again.
Big free throws. Chadron now down by just 2.
Here comes Hamburger into the front court. And he kicks it back out just like you would expect. Work some clock here. And there's a foul. It'll be 1-1. They'll send Blake Wright to the free throw line. Wright with 12 points. And he is 2 for 5 at the stripe. Now that's 18 foul against Chadron, so one more 1-1 opportunity after this one. 53 seconds to play.
See if he has ice water in his hands. These are big.
Again, another opportunity here to make it a 2-possession game. And continue to put the pressure on Chadron to eventually need to make some threes.
The Cardinals, though, are 44% from beyond the arc, so they can hit them.
Well, they haven't had many here in the second half. 59, 55. McLean. He's fouled. That's his second chance to go to the line for 3 free throws. Holmquist did the same thing in the first half and got 3 free throws. Now he'll get 3 right here. The last time he was in this circumstance, he made 2 out of the 3.
I'll say Holmquist shoots it awfully quickly. Sealy came through with the front arm, the one arm he was trying to put up to maybe contest the shot. Happened to get Holmquist on the chest, the reason for the whistle.
There's one. Boy, how big would these be if he can make all 3 of them?
And to make up 3 points without the clock moving. It's going to give them a little. It's going to give them a little bit more time. Make or miss all of these.
There's 2. Well, he has been very quiet. Holmquist, those are his first 2 points of the second half. One more free throw coming up. About the only thing better right here is if the ball caroms off and goes right to Eliason. But it won't. It'll go through the cylinder, which is pretty darn good. 1-point game. Pressure in the backcourt. Oh, they may need to use a timeout. Count is on, but they get it across. 33 seconds left to play it again. St. Cecilia backing it up. Oh, wide open. Nobody home to account for Blake Wright. And it's a 3-point game with 22 seconds left. And we're going to get a timeout. Chadron burns their final timeout with 19.8 seconds left, setting us up for what we would assume to be a play drawn up for a 3-pointer and a tie. However, I again bring up the strategy. You have 19 seconds left. As we take a look at this last basket, this is why we're in this situation. Nobody to account. Eliason vacated underneath.
Chadron wasn't all the way back defensively. McLean still trailing the play. Eliason was back there. He had a eeny, meeny, miny, mo decision because he didn't have any help underneath the bucket. Everything was still right around midcourt. Hamburger had the basketball. Just happened to glance up floor, and all of a sudden, Wright is wide open. Got him the basketball in a hurry. He finishes. It's now 61-58. St. Cecilia 19.8 seconds away from a state championship.
I still think you draw up some kind of a play to get it to Eliason. See if you can get at least 2. Who knows, you might get fouled and get a 3-point play, which is just as good potentially as a 3-point shot. Remember, you still have another 1-and-1 free throw coming up on the next foul. I still think there's time just to go for 2 here and not just wait and shoot the 3.
I'm not so sure. Hastings St. Cecilia, awfully good free throw shooting team. You might want to shoot the 3. Plus, if you miss the 3, there's a good chance you're getting the rebound because you have Eliason if you keep him down in the paint.
Well, Chadron will enter it in their backcourt. It would appear as if they may play for 1 and to try to send it into overtime. McLean with 10 seconds left. Long 3. Oh, it's short. Rebound fought for, still loose. This would be for a 3 and a total. No! Rebound, and that's it. Game over. They'll let it go. Blue Hawks repeat.
Holmquist had a good look at it, that second chance. It went halfway down and popped out, and the celebration is on for Hastings St. Cecilia.
Blue Hawks 61, Cardinals 58. Back with the medal presentations after this. Now courtside to our public address announcer, Rich Broderson.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we are pleased to present the Sportsmanship Award for class.